What is going on, everybody? It is Ungar to the Max coming at you with today's live episode of the Sports Room Talk Show. A salute to you. And we are entering the back half of the 2025 NFL season. So make sure you enjoy every second of it, because before you know it, it's all going to be gone. But since we are getting towards playoff time in the NFL season, I thought it would be fun to do some power rankings and give you my top 6 matchups entering week 12. So let's do it. Starting off with number 10, you've got the Pittsburgh Steelers. Now, yes, Pittsburgh was able to defeat the Cincinnati Bengals at home and avenge their loss from earlier in the season on Thursday Night Football. However, Aaron Rodgers sustained an injury. We don't yet know if he's going to be able to play in the game on Sunday against the Chicago Bears. Yes, the Steelers have a fantastic defense with the likes of Alex Highsmith, Cam Hayward, TJ Watt. Of course, you've got Jalen Ramsey on the back end. But I just don't think the Steelers have enough offensively. And in order for the Steelers to win games, their defense has to create at least 5 turnovers. That's how they managed to beat the Indianapolis Colts a couple weeks ago. That's how they managed to beat the New England Patriots earlier in the season. So for right now, I've got them at number 10. At number 9, I can't believe I'm putting this team inside the top 10 because I wasn't sure who they were going to be this season. For at least a season or two, I've been asking, will the real Bryce Young please stand up? And at times throughout this season, I've been asking the same damn question. Because it seems like when he plays the Atlanta Falcons, he goes off. But when he goes against other teams, it just doesn't work. But yes, I've got the Carolina Panthers coming in at number 9. And they are playing on Monday Night Football this week against the San Francisco 49ers, who for right now, I've got the 49ers outside of my top 10. Mostly because of all the injuries. Yes, they beat the Arizona Cardinals, but for me, that was not quite enough to put them into the top 10. But in terms of the Carolina Panthers, I really like the way they are running the ball effectively with Rico Dowdle, and they've stopped splitting the carries between him and Chuba Hubbard. They've got Ted McMillan, who is a legitimate weapon for Bryce Young. But this game on Monday is all going to come down to Bryce Young. Because even though San Francisco is banged up, they are still going to come after you defensively. So how does Bryce Young handle that in prime time over on the West Coast? That's a really tricky spot. And when I saw this game originally being scheduled for Monday Night Football, I was like, what? Why? And yet here are the Panthers, basically a game behind the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And guess what? The Panthers and Buccaneers play each other twice in the last 3 weeks of the season. So Carolina has an opportunity to overtake the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Meanwhile, my pick to win the NFC South, the Atlanta Falcons, they're a total dumpster fire. It would not surprise me if they fire Raheem Morris after this season. And if they do that, and if the Cleveland Browns fire Kevin Stefanski, as a Browns fan, Raheem Morris would be one of the names I would want the Browns to interview. He would actually be my leading choice. I know that's weird being that he hasn't done great in Atlanta, but I just feel like that would be a solid choice. That's just me, though. Coming in at number 8, speaking of the Cleveland Browns, or I should say former Browns quarterbacks, and I just mentioned them just above their NFC South rivals. I've got the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Surprisingly, I don't have the Buffalo Bills in my top 10, even though they just defeated the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. But my thing with Tampa is I really like Baker Mayfield. As a Browns fan, I didn't want to get rid of him. Yes, at times, I felt like he was being too much of a Cleveland tough guy, which means he tried to take on that Cleveland persona of being a hardworking, blue-collar type of guy when he really should have just gotten the shoulder surgery and come back the following season. But nonetheless, he is playing really well. I really like what they've got with him and Emeka Egbuka. It's unfortunate that Mike Evans and Chris Godwin aren't healthy right now, but they still have Tez Johnson, a rookie out of Oregon, I believe. And yes, Josh Allen torched them, but I still love the Buccaneers defense, and I'm not overly worried about the Buccaneers. At number 7, man, if you would have told me coming into week 12, this team would be inside the top 7, I would have looked at you like you were nuts. Yet here they are. Ben Johnson has come over from Detroit and totally revitalized this team. Caleb Williams actually looks like a legitimate quarterback. I can't believe it. Yes, I'm talking about the Chicago Bears. Oh, wait, let me rephrase. The first place Chicago Bears. Yes, that's right. Because the Bears went into Minnesota and knocked off the Minnesota Vikings, and because the Philadelphia Eagles knocked off the Detroit Lions on Sunday Night Football, the Chicago Bears now sit atop the NFC North. I would say the Eagles-Bears alliance has worked out. As long as the Eagles take care of the Dallas Cowboys on Sunday in Dallas, and as long as the Chicago Bears take care of business at home against the Pittsburgh Steelers, that's going to set up a mega showdown on Black Friday in Philadelphia between the Bears and the Eagles. But in terms of the Bears, yeah, Ben Johnson, like I said, has totally revitalized this team. And for me, the NFL is better when the Chicago Bears are good. I wish I could explain that more and go more into depth, but I really can't because I don't know exactly why. But for me, it just feels better in the NFL when the Chicago Bears are good. But in terms of the Bears, you know, like I said, Caleb Williams is playing better now in his second year under Ben Johnson, you know, a competent head coach, unlike what they had last season in Matt Eberflus. He's definitely built a solid connection with DJ Moore, and they're running the ball effectively with DeAndre Swift, and their defense is doing just enough to win these games, and their offense is doing just enough. Right now, you got to say the Chicago Bears are going to make the playoffs. Will that be through winning the division? Too early to say because you still have the Green Bay Packers. You still have the Detroit Lions. I've kind of written off the Minnesota Vikings. But as of right now, the Bears, you're in my top 7. Coming in at number 6, you've got the Baltimore Ravens, who have basically come back from the dead, although I don't think anybody really pronounced them dead. But nonetheless, they went 3-0 on this road trip, beating the Miami Dolphins and the Minnesota Vikings and the Cleveland Browns. And what's their reward? They get to come home and take on the New Jersey Jets. Yeah, I would expect the Ravens to absolutely obliterate the Jets. Kyle Hamilton is going to have a field day, especially because Tyrod Taylor is the starting quarterback for the Jets. And yes, I know Aaron Glenn is the head coach, so the Jets defense might give Lamar some problems, but I fully expect Lamar to run all over the Jets defense. Then again, I did expect Lamar to run all over the Browns defense, and well, Myles Garrett ended up with 4 sacks. And yet the Browns still lost. Classic Cleveland Browns. But, in terms of the Ravens, they're running the ball effectively with Derrick Henry. Lamar has come back, and their offense seems to be firing on all cylinders now. I'd like to see them use their wide receivers more in the passing game and not be so heavily reliant on Mark Andrews. And their defense, you still have Roquan Smith, you have Kyle Hamilton. They are a dangerous team. And I would fully expect them, especially with Aaron Rodgers being injured, I've got them winning this division. And you still have 2 meetings with the Steelers. By the way, I said it once and I will say it again. Ravens Steelers is not just the best rivalry in the AFC North. It's not just the best rivalry in the AFC. It is the best rivalry in all of the NFL. You can have your Cowboys Eagles. You can have your Packers Bears. I will take Ravens Steelers 10 out of 10 times. No questions asked. Speaking of the Philadelphia Eagles, they're coming in at number 5 on my list. Oh boy, the Philadelphia Eagles. You want to talk about a great defense. They've got Jalen Carter, Jalen Phillips, their recent acquisition from the Miami Dolphins. How Howie Roseman continues to get away with making these types of trades, I don't know. But then you have their offense, I think. They won last week 10-7 on Monday Night Football against the Green Bay Packers. And then they only put up 16 points, I think it was, on Sunday night against the Detroit Lions. And it looked like they got their passing game going, but it didn't really translate into anything. I don't know if it's simply going from Kellen Moore to Kevin Patullo, but I'm their offense kind of has me tongue-tied, honestly. You've got weapons. You've got Jalen Hurts, the Super Bowl MVP. You've got A.J. Brown. You've got Devontae Smith, Heisman Trophy winner Devontae Smith. You've got Saquon Barkley. You've got Dallas Goedert. And yet, this offense can't seem to find a rhythm. I don't get it. But now you're going up against Dallas. Dallas put on a defensive clinic last night, but they were playing the Las Vegas Raiders. Whoop-de-frickin-do. Good God, that Browns-Raiders game, I was going to do a live stream for it, but I will not be able to because I will be at Rocket Arena for LA Clippers at Cleveland Cavaliers. But that Browns-Raiders game, shout out to Urinating Tree. That is going to be the latest edition of Tank Bowl. The Raiders are favored by 3. I've got them winning probably 16-9. But getting back to my top 5 or top 10 teams entering week 12. So far, we've got the Steelers at 10, the Panthers at 9, the Buccaneers at 8, the Bears at 7, the Ravens at 6, the Eagles at 5, and at number 4, I think they finally vanquished the evil empire with the last-second field goal. And talk about redemption, because last season in Kansas City, this team lost on a blocked field goal. And then on Sunday, they won on a game-winning field goal, which basically ended the Kansas City Chiefs' reign of terror over the AFC West, because they are not going to win this division this year, which I correctly predicted. I said before the season that the Denver Broncos were going to win the AFC West. And look who's atop the division. That's right, the Denver Broncos. This defense, even without Patrick Surtain, completely shut down the Kansas City Chiefs offense. Yes, they scored the touchdown late with Mahomes to Travis Kelce. You're not going to completely stop Patrick Mahomes. He's always going to find a way to make plays. By the way, if you haven't figured it out, I don't even have the Chiefs in my top 10. And I also don't have the Buffalo Bills in my top 10, even though they beat the Buccaneers. But getting back to the Broncos. Yes, a lot of the season, Bo Nix has come alive in the fourth quarter, and it's almost like he forgets about the first three quarters. But, the Broncos, would I like to see more from them offensively? Yes. They lost J.K. Dobbins for the season, so I would expect more from R.J. Harvey as well as Jaleel McLaughlin. He went to my alma mater, Notre Dame College, before transferring to Youngstown State. But, you got Franklin on the outside, Cortland Sutton, and Evan Ingram. So they have good pieces offensively. I wouldn't say they're a tremendously scary offense or anything like that. But I think Denver is a force to be reckoned with. If I'm the Broncos, I want the number one seed. Make the road to the AFC come through Denver. You think opponents want to go to Denver for the AFC divisional round or AFC championship in January? Hell no. So if I'm the Broncos, I want the number one seed. Make the road to Super Bowl 60 go through Mile High. But the strength of this Broncos team is their defense. Even without Patrick Surtain, they were able to shut down the Kansas City Chiefs. And I've been so impressed with Nick Bonito. I think that's his name. Let me double check. I want to make sure I'm saying it right. So give me 1 second. Yes, Nick Bonito, the outside linebacker for the Broncos. He has been really effective for them. I would vote for him right now for Defensive Player of the Year. That's just me. But when you are able to hold the Kansas City Chiefs to 19 points, yes, their offense hasn't really been clicking on all cylinders, but it's still Patrick Mahomes on the other side and basically end the Chiefs' reign of terror over the AFC West. That's saying something. So I've got the Broncos at number 4. Coming in at number 3, I've got the Seattle Seahawks. Even though Sam Darnold threw 4 interceptions, the Seahawks only lost that game by 2. Maybe they could have gotten a little bit closer for Myers to kick that game-winning field goal, but it is what it is. And the Seahawks get to play the Rams in week 16, I think it is, on Thursday Night Football in Seattle. And I really liked what Ernest Jones said in the postgame. He backed up Sam Darnold. He was saying, if you're going to take shots at Sam Darnold, screw you. We could have made more plays for him off of some of those turnovers. But overall, I really like what the Seahawks are doing. They are a legitimate Super Bowl contender. You got Sam Darnold. I still trust him. Maybe it's just that the LA Rams are his kryptonite. But overall, I still trust Darnold. I really like their running back with duo of Charbonnet and Walker. You got DeMarcus Lawrence on the other side defensively. You've got Devin Witherspoon on the back end. And then at the wide receivers, of course, it starts with Jackson Smith and Jigba. But then they go out and trade for Rashid Shaheed, which, like I said earlier in a different live stream, for me, that was the biggest move of the trade deadline, because now defenses can't roll their coverage squarely towards JSN. You have to respect Rashid Shaheed on the opposite side. So for me, Seattle, even though they lost, I still got them in my top 3. They're just not top 2. Coming in at number 2, the MVP favorite, the New England Patriots. It seems like the old empire is back. The Buffalo Bills' 5-year reign over the AFC East, done. The New England Patriots are going to win the AFC East, and if I had to predict, they will be the number 1 seed in the AFC. I'll take it a step further. I think the AFC Championship this year will be a rematch of, I think, the 2013 AFC Championship and the 2015 AFC Championship. The only difference is it won't be in Denver. It will be in New England. That's right. I've got the AFC Championship being the Denver Broncos against the New England Patriots. And that I would very much enjoy that game if it turns out to come to fruition. But in terms of the Patriots, they are effectively running the ball now with Travion Henderson, who I predicted to be Rookie of the Year in the AFC, because I thought the Patriots were going to use him more in the running game, but it's like they were reluctant to use him or something, because they continued to use Ramondre Stevenson. But you've got Stephon Diggs on one side, you got Booty on the other. And this defense, oh boy, they will cause problems. They can get after the quarterback. They've got Christian Gonzalez on the back end. And yes, they got to improve their offensive line because Drake May is getting hit way too much. In my opinion, he is the MVP favorite right now. Matt Stafford is a close number 2. But I really like this team, and I think they are going to win the division, and the road to the AFC, road to Super Bowl 60 rather, in the AFC will go through Gillette Stadium in Foxborough. But at number 1, Matthew Stafford, Devontae Adams, Puka Nacua, Jared Verse, and those Los Angeles Rams. Oh my God, I wish the Rams-Eagles game wasn't in week 3. I wish it was later in the season. Because the only reason the Rams are not the number 1 seed in the AFC or NFC rather right now is because they lost that game back in week 3, I think it was, against the Philadelphia Eagles. That game between the Rams and Eagles should have been in like week 15 or week 16. But I digress. You look at this Rams team, they are extremely well coached by Sean McVay, which doesn't surprise me. Matt Stafford, do you remember before the season when everybody was concerned about his back injury? Yeah, I do too. I don't see any signs of it. Puka Nacua has proven to be one of the best wide receivers in the NFL. Devontae Adams seems to have found the fountain of youth. And it's not just Jared Jared Verse. It's also Byron Young, and they have other great pieces. They put together a fantastic game plan defensively, completely confused Sam Darnold, and I love watching this team. I have mixed feelings about the Rams overall because I love Matthew Stafford. Sean McVay is one of my favorite head coaches. Aaron Donald was an absolute beast, and it was awesome to watch him. But I absolutely hate their owner, Stan Kroenke, because he completely screwed over the city of St. Louis. No disrespect to the Rams. I don't mind that the city of LA has an NFL team. I just wish it hadn't come at the expense of the city of St. Louis. When the Rams were in St. Louis, that was a great home field advantage. The Edward Jones Dome was one of the noisiest in the NFL. And yet, for some reason, Kroenke decided, I'm going to completely strip the team down and make it look like the city of St. Louis doesn't care, so I can easily pack it up and move the team back to Los Angeles. I know the Rams have played in LA in the past. I get it. But still, and this is how I feel about the Chargers also. I grew up with them as the St. Louis Rams, not the LA Rams. I grew up with the Chargers as the San Diego Chargers, not the LA Chargers. But again, getting back to my main point, Matthew Stafford, Puka Nacua, Devontae Adams, Jared Verse, Byron Young, they are a complete team. Do I think they're better than the team that won the Super Bowl just 4 years ago? No, because they went out and got Von Miller, Odell Beckham Jr. Cooper Kupp had a special season, winning the Triple Crown, Super Bowl MVP. So no, I can't say right now that this Rams team is better than that team. But what I can say is if they do go on to win the Super Bowl, they would have a solid argument to be in that conversation. Now, that brings me to my top 6 games for Week 12. Starting off with number 6, you've got the Philadelphia Eagles taking on the Dallas Cowboys. Back in Week 1, the Eagles were able to knock off the Cowboys. Of course, that was the game where Jalen Carter didn't even play a single snap because he spit at Dak Prescott, and it was not a pretty game. Well, now we've got the rematch down in Dallas, and the Cowboys put on an absolute show on Monday Night Football in Vegas. Dak Prescott was throwing the ball all over the yard to both CeeDee Lamb and what's his name? CeeDee Lamb and the wide receiver they trade for from Pittsburgh, George Pickens. There we go. Yeah, Dak Prescott, he has found a strong connection with both CeeDee Lamb and George Pickens. If I'm the Cowboys, I'm trying to re-sign George Pickens. And they go out, they trade for Quinnen Williams from the New York Jets. They trade for Logan Wilson from the Bengals, and it worked. But they were playing the hapless Las Vegas Raiders. Now you have the Philadelphia Eagles coming to town. And the Eagles, their offense, like I mentioned earlier, not really firing on all cylinders. But their defense is. So that's going to be fascinating to watch. At number 5, another divisional matchup. You've got the Minnesota Vikings taking on the Green Bay mother-loving Packers. Shout out Tom Grossi. So the Packers, they were able to, let me double check. I want to make sure I got my information right before I just spew stuff. So give me 1 second. But I know the Vikings lost to, yes, the Packers. They were able to defeat the New York Giants in New Jersey. Jordan Love went out with an injury, but Malik Willis was able to right the ship. And then Jordan Love was able to come back in. However, we don't know the status of Josh Jacobs. He suffered an injury in that game against the Giants. We'll see if he's able to play in this game on Sunday against the Vikings. And then with the Vikings, oh God. You let Sam Darnold go. You let Daniel Jones go, thinking you had the right quarterback in J.J. McCarthy, or I guess I could call him 9. And yet, here the Vikings are sitting in last place in the NFC North. After a season ago winning 14 games, facing the Lions in Week 18 for not just the number 1 NFC North Division title, but also for the number 1 seed. Sam Darnold falls flat on his face. Then they face the Rams in the wild card round, and, well, it didn't go much better. But in terms of the Vikings, they really thought J.J. McCarthy was going to be the answer. And, well, it hasn't quite worked. Him and Justin Jefferson haven't been able to get on the same page at all this season. I don't know why. Justin Jefferson is still one of the premier wide receivers in the NFL. You can't tell me otherwise. And for JJ to not be able to connect with Justin Jefferson, that's a problem. And I would expect, even though the Vikings defense has fallen off a little bit, it would not surprise me if Brian Flores is a head coach somewhere next season. As of right now, the Packers are 6.5-point favorites against the Vikings. At number 4, I've got Thursday night football. The Buffalo Bills at the Houston Texans. It took a heroic effort from Josh Allen for the Buffalo Bills to defeat the Tampa Bay Buccaneers on Sunday in Buffalo. I believe Josh Allen is a one-man band. I believe the Buffalo Bills' window of contention is not closing. It is closed up. But they are still very much so in the playoff picture in the AFC. But so are their opponents on Sunday, the Houston Texans. I would not expect C.J. Stroud to play in this game on Thursday against the Bills, as he's still in concussion protocol, which means I think it'll be General Mills playing quarterback. But Houston has been playing well. They should have beaten the Denver Broncos a couple weeks ago. And yes, it took a last-second field goal to beat the Tennessee Titans, which, if you're the Texans, it should never be that close against the Titans, especially with how lowly of a franchise the Titans are, because they're on track to get the number 1 pick again. But still, the Texans' defense is going to cause problems for the Buffalo Bills. I don't know if Josh Allen being a one-man show is going to be enough on a short week to go down to Houston and beat the Texans. So as of right now, I've got Bills-Texans at number 4. And if I had to make a prediction, I'm going with the Houston Texans. At number 3, I've got the Indianapolis Colts taking on the Kansas City Chiefs. A couple weeks ago, we thought this is going to be a measuring stick game for the Indianapolis Colts to show us whether they are legit contenders or not. Well, now it still is a measuring stick game to a certain extent because the Colts have to go into Arrowhead and beat the Chiefs. But right now, if the playoffs started, the Kansas City Chiefs would be on the outside looking in. That's right. Patrick Mahomes would not be in the postseason. And as of right now, it's tough because the Jaguars hold the tiebreaker over the Chiefs. The Chargers hold the tiebreaker over the Chiefs. The Broncos hold the tiebreaker over the Chiefs. So right now, this game is critical for the Kansas City Chiefs if they want to keep their playoff hopes alive. And you know what's interesting is that we haven't heard the name Chris Jones a lot the past couple weeks. And he's really the guy who drives the engine for the Kansas City defense. So if he's not really doing anything, it feels like the Chiefs defense doesn't really do anything. And we thought once the Chiefs get all their pieces back offensively, that's when it was going to start clicking. That hasn't been the case at all. They are still struggling, even with McCole Hardman, Xavier Worthy on the outside. Plus, you still have Travis Kelce. And they refuse to run the ball, it seems like. So, I don't know how this game is going to go yet. But as of right now, Kansas City is listed as the favorite, which kind of makes sense. They are, 3-time Super Bowl champions. Patrick Mahomes is a 3-time Super Bowl MVP. I get it. And this game is being played in Kansas City. I understand that. So that's why it's number 3 for me. At number 2, I did not think I was going to have this game even on my top 5 games coming into week 12. But it is. It is the Carolina Panthers going to the West Coast to take on the San Francisco 49ers on Monday Night Football. The Carolina Panthers are very much so in the playoff picture in the NFC. They are nipping at the heels of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in the NFC South. And like I said, they still have to play the Buccaneers twice in the final 3 weeks of the season. But they have to travel out to the West Coast to take on a very dangerous San Francisco 49ers team. And this game comes at an interesting point for the 49ers because after they host the Panthers on Monday Night Football, they have to come cross-country to play the Cleveland Browns on Sunday afternoon. So that means that the 49ers are going to basically lose 2 days because they play on Monday and they have to take a travel day to come to Cleveland. So they're probably only going to get Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, maybe Friday to practice to get ready for the Browns. And it's an interesting spot. But we'll see if Brock Purdy is back for the 49ers. They're beaten up to all hell and back. But even still, they are a formidable team. They already hold a win over the Seattle Seahawks. They beat the Rams on Thursday Night Football back in, I think it was week 6 or week 7 in LA. Yes, the Rams got their revenge on the 49ers in San Francisco, but still, the 49ers, even for all their injuries, they are a formidable team. If the Carolina Panthers want to prove that they are legit and belong in the NFC playoff picture, go out to the West Coast on Monday Night Football and beat the 49ers. I am rooting for Bryce Young. I really want him to succeed. And I really like what they've got with Ted McMillan. Like I said, Rico Dowdle running the ball. They got to stop splitting the carries between him and Chuba Hubbard. Rico Dowdle has to be your primary back. I would like them to see them do more defensively. But if their defense can do just enough, I think they can win this game. I'll give my official predictions. Probably, I don't know, because I'm going to the Cavs game tomorrow, and I'm working the Monsters game on Thursday, so I'll have to figure that one out in terms of my schedule. But at number 1 on Sunday Night Football, you've got the Tampa Bay Buccaneers taking on the LA Rams. First of all, as much as I like those blue and yellow jerseys for the LA Rams, those black jerseys they were wearing on Sunday against the Seahawks look so much better. I would love it if the Rams made the switch and made that their primary jerseys. Yes, it would mean switching to black and yellow, which the Pittsburgh Steelers probably wouldn't like that too much, but I'd be in favor of it. But in terms of this game, the Rams and the Buccaneers have played some classic games over the past few seasons. Of course, we remember the divisional round game where Matthew Stafford found Cooper Kupp for the game-winning touchdown. But I fully expect this to be a very close, physical type of game. I don't think it's going to be a high-scoring affair. Even though you've got Baker Mayfield, Matthew Stafford, Emeka Egbuka, Devontae Adams, Puka Nacua, I think this is going to be a defensive slugfest. Because, yes, the Buccaneers have to come to the West Coast, kind of like the Carolina Panthers, but I still really like the Buccaneers defensively, and I think they can cause problems for Matthew Stafford. So I think this is going to be a bit lower scoring of a game, but it's going to be really good to watch. Could it be a possible divisional round preview? I believe so. But as of right now, that's my top game of the week. So again, to wrap things up, my top 10 teams entering week 12. At number 10, you've got the Pittsburgh Steelers. Number 9, Carolina Panthers. Number 8, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Number 7, the Chicago Bears. Number 6, the Baltimore Ravens. Number 5, the Philadelphia Eagles. Number 4, the Denver Broncos. Number 3, the Seattle Seahawks. Number 2, the New England Patriots. Number 1, the LA Rams. And in terms of my top 6 games in week 12, you've got the Eagles at the Cowboys, Vikings at the Packers, Bills at the Texans, Colts at Chiefs, Panthers at 49ers, and Buccaneers at Rams. So that's going to do it for my top 12 power rankings. If you like what you saw, well then slam that subscribe button like David Njoku after he scores a touchdown. I got to work on that a little bit. And punch that subscribe button like a UFC fighter and hit the like button with the Judas effect, courtesy of Chris Jericho. I'm trying to work on new taglines. So as of right now, it's still going to be punch that subscribe button like a UFC fighter. But I'm thinking about doing slam the ball on the subscribe button like Rob Gronkowski and dunk on the like button like Victor Wembanyama. But I might try to tailor it towards Cleveland sports. But in the meantime, if you haven't done so, subscribe to Ungar to the Max. We are 90 subscribers away from hitting 800. We are, I think, just about 290 subscribers away from hitting 1,000. So if you haven't joined in, what are you doing? Subscribe, hit the like button, turn on the notification bell. You know, I'm not going to go through the whole jargon. But that's going to do it for week 12. Maybe I'll come back for week 13. We shall see. I am planning on doing a Cleveland Browns live stream probably for Tank Bowl in week 14 when the Titans come to town to take on the Cleveland Browns. But for now, I'm Ungar to the Max, and I will see you next time. Peace.